What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review a compilation album by Jermaine Dupri. Basically, this product is called Young Fly and Flashy Volume 1, and it came out in the summer of 2005. So the thing about this particular product, this is basically a Jermaine Dupri Presents album. He's on here a number of times, but this is basically like a Southern Fried type project to kind of get. And I see this in a lot of cases as like a conduit album for like the trends that were getting ready to happen throughout the rest of the 2000s decade as far as those pitches kind of happen. This is one that just kind of feels very vanilla in today's time, so I would have to say even like Jermaine Dupri, who's kind of from Atlanta, some of those type pitches. It's interesting kind of getting him on like a 2005 single as far as those pairs can happen. I want to say this is one of his most recent singles as far as him on his solo tip, I'd have to say, but it's a good concept behind it. Just if you look after it, just hearing Jermaine Dupri on this sort of song, it just feels so vanilla and kind of tapioca as far as those pitches kind of happen. It's the same thing with Bow Wow around this particular time. He was kind of a vanilla rap artist around this time as well. By the time you got to 2005, late 2005, 2006, when Lil Wayne with the Carter 2 and Birdman with his Fast Money album and Like Father, Like Son, and Jeezy with Boys in the Hood and Thug Motivation 101, T.I. with King, and 25 to Life, the PSC album, just pitches like that. Some of those type of albums that were later on that were just more gnarled and nasty. This just really feels like vanilla wafer-esque compared to some of those particular products. But it is an excellent one. It's going to get a classic score here. I was not expecting that just within the pitch. This was kind of a seldom product for me back in the day. At least probably briefly remember hearing like Gotta Get You and possibly on like V8 VH1 or MTV, some of those type pitches. Seemed like it made some relative noise back in those days. It's kind of a good buzz song to have kind of gotten there. And I do definitely remember, oh, I Think They Like Me, the remix. I used to kind of wonder what happened to the original version of that song. It was said in some cases that the original was on this particular album, but it is the remix on here as well. So I don't know what happened with the original version of that song. But I look after this is just some good concepts to be able to get, and this is a classic album in terms of Southern Fried type stuff. It has some good folks on here. Stat Quo is on here at least once. Jay Quan is on here at least once. Pastor Troy is on here a couple of times. Bun B is on here once. Dem Franchise Boys is on here once. Young Capone is on here a couple times. Daz Dillinger's on here a couple times. So it's just some good folks, good assortment of folks just on here as far as those pitches kind of happen. I like the concept of getting albums like this, and it's really too bad that there wasn't a Young Fly and Flashy Volume 2, because I definitely think this the classic kind of appeal about this particular product. It was in desperate need of a sequel. I'd have to say it would have been interesting to see would have been interesting to have seen the singles that could have come out off the would have been interesting to have seen the singles that could have come off that particular product and just what would happen as far as those pitches kind of went. Because this is basically like a pseudo kind of Jermaine Dupri album. I would have to say just the concept that the last album he really dropped was Instructions from 2001, which is a pretty good pitch, but just in terms of like the mid 2000s blow up of like Southern rap between Atlanta and ringtone rap blowing up some of those type pitches. Lil Jon, Dem Franchise Boys, Lil Scrappy, some of those type folks. You know, D4L, just folks like that in particular, TI, PSC, Young Jock, Young Dro, some of those type of folks. It just felt like Jermaine Dupri would have fit definitely right in with some of those folks, would have fit like a glove for that particular era. But he just kind of was more in like a feature-esque type role, which is kind of disappointing because it would have been really interesting to have gotten an album. Just by the taste of what you get from the Gotta Get You song, it would have been pretty damn interesting to have gotten that. But still, this is a classic album here. I wound up recommending every song off this particular product minus one, so that's kind of the pitch behind it. But I'll go ahead. There were kind of pseudo two singles off this product. Gotta Get You was the lead single, but then the pseudo second single that also was like a conduit to like the Dem Franchise Boys album from early 2006 was the Oh I Think They Like Me remix. So I'll go ahead and talk about both these singles. So Gotta Get You is like a basic vanilla kind of club hitter, I would say, especially by today's standards. I would definitely feel like this really kind of cookie cutter just within the aspect of it, but it really hits pretty heavily. I'd say it's like an easy dance noise, I would feel like, and it's like a vintage 2000s pop to kind of get here to something that just reeks of 2000s type fare, but it's a pretty excellent concept for that. It's like a seldom and underrated heat of a song to kind of get. So it's just some excellent type fare as far as those pitches kind of happen. Really appreciate the PL. It's a nice one to kind of surprise folks with. I would definitely feel like it's a great concept to kind of get some of this in particular, just be able to see some of that jive and this overall hitting type display. Really has the appeal behind it. But then, Oh, I Think They Like Me, the remix with Dem Franchise. This is basically just a Dem Franchise Boys song. Jermaine Dupri does rap on this song. He's on here, and I want to say Bow Wow's on here. DeBrat's on here, so it's just a pretty good gangstified type of affair as far as those pitches kind of happen. Just good pitch behind it, but this like a vintage kind of mid 2000s club smash. I would definitely feel like pretty big deal back in early 2006, late 2005. Some good concepts for that. It's like some good dance craze about this song. We definitely had like some dance qualities about it. Just one of those ones like the Soldier Boy songs, Young Dro and Young Jock songs, some of those type pitches that kind of did that. It's like a ringtone rap. Oh, I Think They Like Me remix is basically like ringtone rap in like a nutshell. I would have to say it's just a bop overall to kind of get. So it's just a quality song. I talked about this song before on like the 2006 album by Dem Franchise Boys that I reviewed back in late 2022, but still it's a continued highlight, just one that deserves to be on two albums just because the quality of it is just an easy kind of highlighted hit to kind of get here, and just a stock type one. This is stock type one. This has some overall excellent type fare to kind of have within that viciousness. That's a good concept, but yeah, so basically out of the 11 songs on this particular album, the only song I don't recommend in any fashion is just the eighth song, Grown Man, which is disappointingly, it has a Nitty beat on here, which is pretty dope. That Nitty was around back in 2005. I think he was around. I think he did have like the occasional beat back in those days before he blew up with Young Jock's hit single, It's Going Down. But I look after it, just didn't really have the appeal of that. It just didn't really have the appeal of what was particularly kind of needed. I feel like the folks on this particular song, Miss B, which I want to say that the Miss B chick might have been someone that was with Young Jock on like the song I Know You See It. I want to say she was like the female rapper on that particular song, which is an interesting type pitch. And then the Torika chick was on the song as well. But I look after it. Just being able to say the production fare is just too sedate and just overall too kind of docile and just tranquil. I'd have to say just within the tone behind it. Just feels like an in-between kind of R&B, this homely type song that just didn't really have much flair about it. Just probably need a little bit more spark towards it. It's just easy kind of boyfriend type music to kind of get here. Just some groom kind of boyfriend type music, but just didn't have enough pizzazz to really have much of like the appeal of just overall for it. I mean, if you're looking for something in a more graceful type sense, it kind of has that, but this is it just the factor behind it of its addictiveness is just not that high, I'd have to say. But only real dud on here. So there's some real nice ones. Like one of the immediate songs is the first song you hear off this particular product, which is the Young Capone song "I'm Hot." This has a real crunk ready type beat. It's like a throwback kind of early 2000s crunk jam. I'd have to say minus Lil Jon or Ying Yang Twin, something like that. I'd have to say excellent type concept going to get here. It's like a syrupy kind of pounding club splitter, I would definitely feel like. So this one just kicks things off with a real bang, some dynamite type flair to kind of get just an excellent aspect to kind of have some of this, just some easy kind of going heat. Typical. I think most folks would probably think in this particular sense, if you were to hear this production from far away more so than you heard the rapper, you'd probably think that this is just a Lil Jon song, something like that. But it's just the concept of how quality it is. Young Capone really goes in on here. It's dope that Daz Dillinger's on a song like this as well, as far as those pitches kind of happen. Daz Dillinger from the Dog Pound, so it's dope enough pitch, and T-Rock's on here as well. Some good fares for that. Throw It Off is a nice one as well. I really like this one. It's like a twangy kind of hella southern fried dance club rumbler. I would feel like this feels like an R&B dance off hitter. I would definitely say something that B2K or Omarion would have done in like 2005, 2006. Feels like something that Mario would have done. The R&B singer Mario, as far as those fares going to happen, this song just knocks pretty hard, I'd say. So it's just a real kind of it's just a real kind of sludgy, greasy type one to kind of get here, but I really like the appeal of it. Just a CD type production that just has a lot of twang about it and just hits extremely well. So yeah, it's definitely a great song. Throw It Off is a great song to get tore up to as far as those pitches can happen. There's actually a rather healthy type album. It's not as much like a full blown. I mean, I feel like the club bobs, there's definitely plenty of social outing on this particular product, plenty of good dance songs and just overall nightclub pizzazz. Just some dap songs, just some overall excitement and just getting crunk at some of those type times, but in terms of like the ones where you get completely shit faced or something like that and just get really tore up and just kind of to the range of just being able to say you're going to have like a real carnivorous kind of craze, not like something like 3-6 Mafia or Lil Jon at its craziest moments or Ying Yang Twins at their craziest moments would do. It's a little bit more, it's not so much civil, but it just has more composition and just being like, hey, it's just like the album says, kind of fly and flashy just in the tone, but it's just kind of the it has the aspect. I mean, there are some ones on here like Throw It Off is definitely one of those type ones, and then Young Fly and Flashy, the title track, has some pretty tore up type moments. But then I just would have to say, is this vanilla crunk? I would have to say, just really vanilla crunk and ringtone rap. This is but then this album is really just vanilla crunk and ringtone rap as far as those pitches going to happen. This is basically like a conduit for what was coming. Like I was saying before, this is like a good album that just was like a Kickstarter. Great kind of moment as like things like Lil Jon and Jeezy and some of those type folks and 36 Mafia started to blow up a lot more. Young Dro, Young Jock, some of those type folks that were just coming out of the Atlanta sound. It's like a good primer for a lot of that. And this is just like a good kind of like foreshadowing for like a lot of those movements, because back in early 2005, late 2004, it was still more folks like Eminem and 50 Cent in the game and Tony Ayo and some of those type folks and this Lloyd Banks and those type folks in particular that this had a little bit more predominant type fare as far as those pitches kind of happened. There were other things, Kanye West and Just things like that. Some of those type of rappers that were just kind of more popular around that time. It wasn't quite as full blown Southern fried just yet. That changed pretty lickety split, I'd say. So that's a good concept. But then another nice one on here would be Just to Fight. This is like a stock electro club snarl. I would definitely feel like about this one. It's like a jivey and a live, definitely a live song. I really like the appeal behind that. Social night with like some good aspects about that in particular. It's like a drink spill, kind of heavy dance groove about this particular song. So this one just feels like something once again that Lil Jon would do. Just some standard craziness to stand on couches, really get crunk, some of that type fare. I guess I would kind of say when I said that there wasn't as much kind of get tore upness to kind of smoke drink to some of those type pitches. I kind of feel like there is. It's just kind of in the concept of more vanilla southern rap as far as those pitches kind of happen. And this is kind of the aspect that yeah, may not be as full blown feral or as distorted as like 3 6 Mafia and like their Unbreakables album from 2003 or like Most Known Unknown from 2005. Some of those type ones. I mean, there's definitely more vicious ones, but this is not anything to shake a stick at. This is a classic album here, and the nightlife is pretty exuberant, but this is kind of it's just not on full display where these rappers are saying, yeah, we're gonna get full blown carnivorous. This kind of concept is just basically this album is just chock full of songs like In the Club and Disco Inferno by 50 Cent, some of those type of moments, Ass Like That and Just Lose It by Eminem, some of those type of moments. This has a very vanilla 2000s type appeal behind it. This is very refreshing to kind of get that because for the most part I've covered a lot of these, so it's just good to kind of still find some of these. Another vanilla type one on here would be Kodak Moment Remix, which has Bun B on here and AVS and Pastor Troy, so it's a good pitch for that. Basically, it's like a peppy kind of dance floor and mess hall type noise to kind of get here. It's like a mild get crunk and enjoy a drink type jive you kind of get. This it's like a mild get crunk and just enjoy a drink, jive, and dance type song you kind of have with this particular type fair. So it's another social type one. The social score off this sounds probably most definitely going to get a 10 out of 10, I'd have to say. There's some more stock kind of quality crunk energy to kind of get here, and just overall the aspects of just like some dance floor type noise just kind of get within that relative sense is some good. It's overall pretty jivey type aspect for like some good about it, so some good concepts. That's a nice one. And then I would say So What's another quality one. It's like a bass heavy kind of thumper. I would definitely feel like it's like a dance floor loud pack to definitely get in like mid 2000 style. I would feel like about that particular one. Mid groove swag rap about this particular song about it. It's just a good concept, kind of get some swag rap before that like really became full blown popular with T.I.'s King and Young Jock's New Jock City, some of those type pitches. This as swag rap, kind of a primer for swag rap just a year before that particular really took storm, I'd have to say about it. Some good concepts there. This Kato Cat's pretty good within that particular song. And it's like an illy kind of night outing to kind of get here. So this is good thump. This reminds me of something. I mean, a lot of this, despite the fact that this is kind of some in between type folks, there's some folks on here that may not have as much full blown kind of noise about them, like Kato, T. Waters, some of these folks, like even Miss B and Torika, some of those type ones, Kid Slim, some of these type ones. Not to say that they're not noisy enough, like they don't have their appeal, but this is kind of the concept when you look after it. A lot of these folks, I'm not full blown sure if they dropped albums or even mixtapes within those senses. So it's just the good appeal, just finding some good talent. But the thing about it is, compared to like certain movie soundtracks, pitches like that, where the movie soundtrack just has like one shots that just sometimes have like drag a song. I feel like this is actually one that just is star-studded, despite the fact that these songs don't have like a huge name hitter on here like Young Jock or T.I. or one of those type folks, Big Country King, someone like that, Young Jeezy, some of those type folks, Big Gee, Jody Breeze, some of those type folks. I just would have to say it's just a concept that this continues to have some quality stuff on here. So good concepts. Put Your Hands Up is a quality one. This is more R&B type fare. This particular song reminds me of Missy Elliott from like 2005 Fair and Ciara from those particular times as well, from like her goodies days, I'd have to say. It's like a good vanilla R&B dance bopper. I would definitely feel like it hits pretty well, I'd say. So this is a concept. Basically, if you like songs like Ciara's 1-2 Step and Missy Elliott's Lose Control, some of those type pitches, just a real good breezy kind of dance groove to kind of get just in a more Chica's type fare and just more for the Beezies pitches like that, just more kind of spring and summer breeze type pitches like that, just a little bit more airy and just more poppy, I'd have to say. Good concept. 10 Toes is a pretty quality one as well. It's like a hop to it, kind of mid graze, kind of evening excitement. I would have to say about this one. It's like a vanilla kind of club marinate noise to kind of get here to some easy kind of kickback just within that tone. Good song to squat up and enjoy the loud pack of the night, I'd have to say. But yeah, 10 Toes is definitely another vanilla club hitter. Goes pretty well with Gotta Get Ya. I would definitely have to say, I want to say that, yeah, Jermaine Dupri is basically a song as well. It's a good pitch to kind of get. So Jermaine Dupri is on a number of songs on here. He's probably on like 3 or 4 of these. He's on Gotta Get Ya, Oh, I Think They Like Me remix, 10 Toes, and some of those type ones. He might be on like one other song, but I think he's on at least 3 out of 11 of these on here. It's kind of more of him just presenting things like the album cover says, but it's just a good pitch. I definitely think he probably should have been on at least 1 or 2 more songs out this particular product because I do feel like he has enough swag and appeal to kind of carry this particular product, despite the fact that he was just kind of like a Southern Pride kind of puff daddy, I'd have to say. But I do appreciate the concept getting him on some of these type ones, and 10 Toes is like a good 1-2 punch with Gotta Get You. I'd have to say just a more posse track of that. And then Young Fly and Flashy, the title track is basically like a pounding kind of vanilla crunk music. Young Fly and Flashy, the title track is basically like a pounding kind of vanilla crunk music to kind of get here. It's like a take some shots, kind of get cray ladies bounce of a song. I would definitely feel like this is the feral kind of stand out. Yeah, it's definitely a pretty feral type standout. This is definitely one to get pretty tipsy to and just get hella crunk as far as those pitches going to happen. Goes pretty well. Like throw it off some of those type of ones. I'd probably say Justify It by Pastor Troy's another one that has that relative craziness about it. So yeah, there is some relative craziness about this particular product. Like I said, it's a pretty social overall project. So the score of this album's going to get a 10 out of 10. The social score will get a 10 out of 10 also. There's just too many hits on here. Definitely if you're a fan, definitely if you appreciate 2000's live social outings, I would say this is an excellent album to kind of get for some of that because just the pizzazz of this album is particularly off the meter. There are actually some songs in here to get loose to. It has some of those crunk moments. It siphons Lil Jon in a lot of ways. This is able to do it and just have that aspect of just being able to nail some of those type of things. It's has the aspect of just getting some daps and pitches like that, just enjoying the times, just being able to get towards it, get some drinks in your systems, get some ladies dancing, some of those type of pitches, just some standard type of appeal. It's for like a stock kind of crazy night. And this whole album just hits. It's one after the other. Justify It, Throw It Off, some of these type ones. I'm Hot. Oh, I Think They Like Me. Gotta Get You. Some of these ones. It's very just different variations throughout the night, just that continue the craziness and last for pretty while. I think the only real true bad things about this product is just the fact that Jermaine Dupri didn't have like a few more features that he could have had some more nailing hits off this product. The fact that there wasn't a Young Fly and Flashy Volume 2, and just the fact that there weren't enough songs that I'd say it's pretty snappy and to the point. So it's just the concept, it's just the more over fact that it just has the basic kind of snappy type of appeal, and you pretty much are going to be, I would say, within the concept. I mean, I realize in some cases some folks may not, just because Jermaine Dupri is not a lyricist. I mean, maybe some of the critic complaints would just be about the fact that the lyrics may not be as hitting, but I look after it's very affable, it's radio ready, has that public relations factor down pretty damn well as far as those pitches can happen. So it's just some affable snap, and they're just the quantity was just not enough on here. I definitely think it just need to be more of that as far as those pitches can happen. But classic album, just would have to say some excellent type concepts. Some of the most recent Jermaine Dupri to kind of get here, just some easy kind of appeal. Social bite about it, just feral. Just has the craziness about it. It's a vanilla rap album, I would say. Vanilla 2000s rap album, which really means that it's pretty damn vanilla in terms of the social aspect, but it just has some MTV and radio friendly bops to kind of get here. Good aspect before that in particular as far as those things kind of go. So I look after it in terms of the future. Like Jermaine Dupri has not put out an album since this particular one. He has dropped some compilations, other projects. Apparently, there's something floating around on YouTube that has made like a Young Fly and Flashy Volume 2, which I might review that as far as those pitches going to happen if it turns out to be enjoyable. Now, unfortunately, there's not going to be like a Jermaine Dupri solo song or something like that, but would have to say at least it could have some other concepts on there that might have some good buzz songs. Some good buzz songs, something like that. So I might look into that one just depending upon the appeal behind it. But there's this classic album here, 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 social, just what I'd say. It's excellent type concepts and underappreciated. I would definitely fuck with this Seldom project and just see some of these hits on here because the social variety about this project is pretty large.